All right, let's dive right in. Today, we're going to demystify the whole world of mindset coaching. We're going to break down the actual process, the journey that takes someone from feeling completely stuck to feeling, well, unstoppable.
So let me just start with a question for you. Do you know that feeling, the one where you can perfectly explain why you're stuck? You've thought about it, you see the patterns, but when it comes to figuring out what to do next, it's just crickets. Yeah, if you're nodding along right now, you are definitely not alone. It is such a common place to be. You've got all this amazing awareness, but there's no bridge to action. And that's the frustrating part, right? Having the insight, but missing the how. That's exactly where this whole journey kicks off. So, where does a coach fit into all of this?
Well, it's really important to think of them as your guide, absolutely not your guru.
I love this idea because it kind of flips the script on what you might expect. See, you are the expert on you. Nobody knows your life, your goals, your challenges better. A coach's job isn't to give you the answers, it's to provide a framework and ask the right questions so you can find your own answers. And that's what makes the change stick for good.
So, at its core, a mindset coach is really a thought partner. Their whole focus is on moving forward. It's not about digging around in the past, it's about getting super clear on what you want for your future and then building a real practical plan to make it happen. Okay, here's the best way to picture this whole process. Imagine you're climbing a ladder. Now, if you try to skip 3 or 4 rungs at once to get to the top faster, well, you're probably going to slip, right? You'll get stuck. A coaching framework is like that ladder. It gives you those solid, reachable rungs, one at a time, so you're always making steady, safe progress upward. And that brings us to the actual map for the journey, the ABC coaching framework. It's a super simple, structured way to think about it. It's broken down into 3 phases. A is for the foundation, B is for the action plan, and C is for the mastery. Let's break them down.
All right, let's start with phase A, finding your map. And the logic here is simple, right? You can't figure out how to get somewhere new if you don't know exactly where you're starting from.
So the first 2 steps here are awareness and audit. This is where we get really honest. It's about taking a step back and looking at everything, your priorities, your values, and just figuring out what feels good and what, really doesn't. And a really cool tool for this is something called the Wheel of Life. You just rate your satisfaction in different areas of your life 1 to 10. And look, the goal is not to get a perfect 10 everywhere. The goal is clarity. When you see it laid out like this, you might immediately go, whoa, my personal growth is a 7, but my work is a 4. Bam, right there, you know where the friction is. You know where to start. And the last piece of phase A is accountability. This is so crucial. This is the moment where all that insight turns into a real promise, a commitment you make to yourself that you're ready to actually start climbing that ladder. Okay, so you've got your map, you know where you are. Now we get to the fun part, phase B, building your path. This is where we start moving. Phase B is all about action. We take all that clarity we got from phase A and use it to set some really exciting big goals. But we don't just stop there. We then figure out the small, repeatable habits that are actually going to build the road to get you to that destination. Let's make this super concrete. Maybe we identify an old, automatic habit, like saying yes to everything at work because you feel guilty saying no, which just leads to burnout. Okay, so we design a new, intentional habit to replace it. Something simple, like always pausing for a few seconds to check your own capacity before you answer. See? It's not about brute force willpower. It's about consciously designing a new, better response. You're literally carving a new pathway in your brain. And finally, once we've built those new pathways, we get to phase C, mastering the climb. This is all about making those changes a permanent part of who you are. This part is all about making it last. It comes down to 3 things. First, consistency. Those small actions done over and over create massive momentum. Second is challenging comfort. Growth never happens when we're comfortable, so we gently push those boundaries. And finally, competence. This is where you really build the skill and the confidence to know you can lead yourself through anything that comes up in the future. And this stuff is tangible. You can actually see it. A client's sense of clarity doesn't just appear out of nowhere. It builds month by month. You go from feeling maybe 30% clear to 60% to 90%. It's a direct result of that consistent, focused work. So, what does this all lead to? What's the destination at the top of that ladder? Well, it's your potential,
fully unlocked. But let's be really clear. The end result of coaching isn't some magical fix where you never have problems again. That's not real life. The real result is a totally new level of self-leadership. It's about having the tools, the resilience, and the self-awareness to handle whatever life throws at you. I mean, take this story from a client, Sarah. She started practicing that one small habit of setting boundaries. And what she found was amazing. Saying no didn't just lower her stress, it actually made her better at her job. Now that is a game-changing realization. So as we wrap up, I'll just leave you with this one thought. We've walked through the whole framework, from finding your map to mastering the climb. The only question left is, what's the first rung on your ladder?